We could spackle the bullet holes, unless you want to keep them.
By all means, we'll spackle.
You know you can admit when you don't know what a word means.
Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. The latest episode of Sleepy Hollow aired and we got to meet one of the new horsemen, so I thought I'd take a chance to talk about what happened in the episode and what's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks, because we're going to have a little bit of a break before we get the next episode, but it's actually going to be really cool. So the big thing this week was meeting the new horseman, Pestilence, but we didn't really meet him so much as feel him, because unlike Death, who kind of acts in a physical way, like literally chops people's heads off, Pestilence really just acts through disease. One of the things I really liked, though, this week was the care that Ichabbie took with Ichabod. That scene where she moved him into Corbin's cabin was really, really funny. And it just goes to show how they're kind of coming together a little bit more as a team now that we're a couple episodes in. And they're kind of becoming this very, kind of semi-non-sexual union. Shippers, say what you will. Speaking of shipping, because Ichabod is basically on the precipice of death, he gets thrown into purgatory where Katrina is. And we find out that she kind of did something that is leaving her in purgatory. She did something that's kind of put her at the mercy of Moloch, but we can talk about theories in just a minute. So we find that the boy Thomas and the creepy girl, who is also probably a servant of Moloch, come from Roanoke. The town is really like the MacGuffin in this episode. It kind of holds the solution to solving this plague, but I felt like it didn't dovetail quite as nicely as it could have with the purgatory storyline, because I think the writers are trying to imply that this town was actually part of purgatory and Moloch was just kind of pushing it into the real world just a little bit and like allowing this boy to escape and bring pestilence into the world, riding on the backs of germs. The interesting thing about that storyline and the arrival of the Pestilence horsemen, because I thought that they set up previously that the other horsemen could only arrive after Death had basically found his head. And the last time we left him, I don't think that he had his head. Maybe somebody can correct me in the comments. It also kind of felt like the captain has really become complicit in a lot of the shenanigans that are going on in the show. I really do think that kind of implies that he's part of the supernatural culture on the show, and he's just not revealing that to Ichabod and Ichabbie. In the teaser for the next episode, which we actually won't see for 3 weeks, I'll explain that in a little bit. There's going to be a bit of a break in the show, but they set up that we're going to meet the Knights Templar, and we're going to meet Walter from Fringe, who's going to be like a good person. The Knights Templar are kind of set up as like this neutral force, I think. So I think that in that episode, we might find out a little bit more about the captain. He might have something to do with the Knights Templar, because he doesn't really seem overtly good or overtly evil. I do love Orlando Jones' crazy eyes. He just has these like super intense eyes in all of his scenes. Or maybe that's just the way he normally looks, but he's just so hardcore when he's not doing comedy. But in the next episode, which we won't see till November 4th, we'll actually meet some of the real-world threats. Obviously, I mentioned the Knights Templar, and they don't seem like they're going to be totally helping Ichabod and Ichabbie out, even though they seem like a force for good. But Walter from Fringe is actually someone who seems like he's going to be some sort of a guide for them. So I'm guessing that he might actually be one of the good witches, or at least part of the good supernatural forces in Sleepy Hollow, which we totally haven't met yet. I don't really consider Corbin part of that group, although he could be a Templar. Even though there wasn't a lot of action in the episode, I did like that it kind of set up some of the horseman mythology just a little bit more, kind of deepened it. But overall, I give the episode a B+, just because of the way Ichabod and Ichabbie are starting to come together. Obviously, I feel like their relationship will really carry this show, especially in future seasons, because if those two characters don't feel like a really natural fit together, it's going to be really hard to watch the show. But some of the things I feel like the show is doing really well now are like the out-of-time comedy, like with the adrenaline and just like all the funny anachronisms of modern-day life that Ichabod is just getting used to, or like the jokes about his 200-year-old clothes. Let me know what some of your favorite moments were, but I would say one of my favorite jokes, though, was the spackle joke. I feel like even though the show's humor is a little bit baroque, it does it really, really well. Plus, it'll be fun to see Ichabod fill his man cave out in future episodes. But the one last question I'll ask, though, is what is up with Katrina, and what is it that she did that got her stuck in purgatory? Let me know what you think, but personally, I think that she was an evil witch who tried to turn good. So she basically, in like the Black Widow Avengers sense, has a lot of red on her ledger. So she basically can't be totally good, so she can't ascend to heaven, and she's not totally evil, so she can't just go straight to hell. But either way, the next episode is until November 3rd, but don't worry, I have plenty of Game of Thrones that can fill that Monday night slot. I've got a Gendry video coming later this week, and a lot of you have asked for Sir Davos, so I will be doing the Onion Knight very soon too. Don't forget, tomorrow is a new episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'll post that right after the episode airs, and because Supernatural is just a little bit later, I usually upload that the next morning. If you really want to help me out, please like and share this video using the tools below. I can totally give high fives all over the interwebs. Anytime I see anybody sharing my videos, it helps me so much. While we wait for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Supernatural tomorrow, you can click here to watch my other Sleepy Hollow videos, and you can click here to watch my American Horror Story Episode 1 video. Coven is going to be crazy, and they're building a Frankenstein boyfriend this week too. That's going to be on Wednesday, so look forward to that video. Thanks so much for watching. High fives.